Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Doing Business in Bentonville. My name is Andy Wilson, and I'm the Executive Director of Doing Business in Bentonville. Welcome to the podcast today. All my guests, Cheryl Yarborough. Welcome, Cheryl.
Thank you, Andy. Glad to be here.
It is so great to see you, my friend. And I got a nice gift this morning. Thank you very much. I really love the color. They're awesome. We have a lot to talk about. But before we get into all of this wonderful stuff around Omni-Channel, I've got to just spend a few minutes with my friend Cheryl, and you have to understand, wow, what a background she has. Oh my goodness, Cheryl, you've done a lot of things. I mean, if we wanted to go back, well, let's not count the years, how far we go back. We worked at Walmart. Yes. So that's a long time. Let's go forward. But, I will tell you just a bit about, first of all, Cheryl's a great friend. And Cheryl, through the years of doing business in Bentonville, my time with you, thank you so much for all that you've done and all the wonderful events we've done together. So thank you. I really appreciate that. And, Cheryl is, she's going to tell you about her job at Shiloh Technology. But, first of all, she's an unbelievable individual. We just had a short conversation about a future mission trip that she's going on. Sounds wonderful. Honduras with baseball and all of that. So that sounds wonderful. You have a great time there. But, Cheryl I could just give you a lot of labels from entrepreneur to a really powerful leader. You support women in leadership. So wonderful. And we've done those kind of things together. But today we're going to talk a bit about her. She's uncomfortable about it, but that's okay because she doesn't like that. She'd rather be talking Shiloh Technology. Sure. Right, Cheryl?
Correct.
But so Cheryl, here's this. Tell our guests a bit about you and about your career, and then we're just going to dive into this phenomenal subject around Omnichannel.
Okay. Well, a little bit about me. I've spent the majority of my career in the retail and CPG space. I've worked for companies such as Walmart, you spoke of, Coca-Cola, Dr. Pepper Snapple Group, and Newell Brands. And during my time at those employers, I really was able to gain a tremendous amount of experience as well as grossly diverse education. And the reason for that is I really didn't come into this space in the most traditional way. And so early in my career, I really adopted the mentality of digging in and learning everything about the business, regardless of the position I was in. And so that really afforded me the opportunity, Andy, over my career is I've had a very diverse background. Right. I've been the person who pulled the numbers. I've created new product lines. I've worked on patents. I've managed, and worked through the logistics of getting the product to the stores. So it's that diversity that really is what led me to Shiloh.
Right.
Right. Shiloh afforded me the opportunity to really bring that diverse background and be able to tie it together to, the needs that I saw in the industry, whether it was, CPG or, marketing or, the retail segment. And so, Shiloh, if there's one thing I learned during, my career thus far is, blurred lines, not working from within a static box. And, Shiloh at the time, about 4 years ago, whenever I was looking to come on board, was really blurring the lines of what traditional analytics solutions were doing, these out-of-the-box solutions kind of thing. And so that's what led me to Shiloh, and it's really a nice marriage of my experiences and, my passion to really invest and create things that deliver, real and immediate measurable value.
Right. Well, that diverse background that you talked about is so phenomenal that we have that. And that you seem to have just always jumped in, no matter what the challenge was. You just sort of jumped in. You figured out how to swim, and you've made
almost drowned a few times.
Yeah, you may have drowned a few times, which we all do. But that's good. We learn from that, right? So, well, wonderful. So, Cheryl, one of the things that we'd like to learn a bit is about Shiloh Technologies, and so tell us about Shiloh, and then what Shiloh does, and then your role there. And so let's talk about that.
My role there, so currently I am the SVP of Sales and Marketing for Shiloh. And within that, I also work very closely and kind of have our product management side of things as well as strategic business partnerships. So again, couldn't do just one job. I needed to do all of the jobs. But a little bit about like what that means and what Shiloh does and supports our supplier community. So in its simplest definition, we are a software company that specializes in retail analytics.
Right.
But it's the how we do that that really is the magic that is Shiloh, and that has been the magic of Shiloh for 30 years now. Shiloh's been around. We were the pioneers. We were the first to really deal with supplier data from this big company that is down the street from us, right?
Right.
And so, how we do that. So Shiloh, part of that is our data services. And so what that means is Shiloh was big data before big data was a buzzword, before big data was a thing. When Shiloh is managing and working with you on your data services needs, that means we are doing everything from the ingestion, the obtaining of the data, the cleansing of the data, the validating of the data. So all that heavy lifting of just managing and wrangling your multiple data sources. But the key, and this is where I know we're going to talk a lot about Omni today, and this is really a game changer, it's the harmonizing of that data. Having all of that data in all of these different places, it's great. It's great data. It's the heavy lift of trying to figure out how to make all that data talk together in one language.
Right.
And so therefore it's usable. And so that's a big challenge today with the Omni-Channel business that we're going to speak a lot about. So Shiloh does all of that part. As I think about like what looks different, I would say over half of our customers today leverage us to use multiple data sources. So it's more than just POS. A lot of people are like, okay, yeah, I can get my retailer's POS data. So do you deal with that? We do deal with that. And we take a lot of that heavy lift off. But it's really, more than half of our customers, load more than just retailer POS with us. And I would say, Andy, this is a real sign of how the world of retail is changing, and the world of managing that is 90% of our newer customers are loading more than traditional retailer POS.
Right.
So then in addition to the retail data services or the data services side of things, it's then the products. That's where the development. We develop and produce and deploy a suite, a platform of user interface products that allow people to engage and then use that data, whether it is just POS data or this, multiple data sources. It allows them to use that data to perform analytics. And again, it's extremely flexible. There's capabilities within the solution around master data management, around ordering, around traditional retail analytics, marketing analytics, all of those type of things. And so it's extremely flexible. There's the ability to use it, whether it's push analytics, where you literally don't have to query anything. You don't have to pull anything. We push insights and analytics to you. Or again, there's another piece of the platform that allows you to engage. And one of the pieces of flexibility there is you can really engage how you want, whether that's through the Shiloh platform of products, which leverages a lot of traditional BI tools such as Power BI and Excel and things like that, or the tool of your choice. So again, we'll do all the heavy lifting on the data services piece and allow you to engage with that, using whatever the traditional business intelligence tools you're used to using. So really it's an end-to-end, full suite. We manage everything from the data to the end outputs.
Awesome. Well, a great company, 30 years plus.
30 years plus, yeah.
And you're right. It's amazing. When I was doing my research a bit about Shiloh, and 30 years, I thought, wow, how fast. Time has really flown. But because I've seen the company here for all those years. And well, great, Cheryl. So great company. And of course, we'll make sure you know how to get in contact with Cheryl and all that before the podcast ends. Now, our topic. Omni-channel. Wow. Retailing is so exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not one boring day. We understand the store side. We understand a bit about the customer side. But man, the customer side is changing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is so exciting to be a customer today.
Oh, it is.
I mean, it is so exciting. But behind the curtain of that, there's a lot of work.
There is.
to get to that customer. That's what we're going to talk about today. Is from a retailer standpoint, this whole omnichannel experience, also how it affects the customer. I want you to get started on that, but I'm always reminded of what Sam Walton, taught us all those years. He said the most consistent thing at Walmart was change. He said that day and day. And I've told this quick story before, is that when I was running human resource at Walmart, he even asked me if I could put a change on the valuation. I said, well, let me talk to the attorneys. But anyway, so, in other words, if you didn't have a high, if you had a low resistance change, what Sam said, he didn't want you there. But anyway, change is so exciting, and it's happening at a record pace. And we're sitting in Northwest Arkansas in the middle of this change, from retail, from the stores to logistics to the customer. All of this is changing such rapid. So let's get into Omnichannel and tell us about your thoughts around Omnichannel, and let's just dive into that, and we'll take this apart a bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think what's interesting is, as I think about Omnichannel, and as you kind of prepared me to talk about this subject today, what's interesting is one thought came to mind. Talking about Omnichannel is almost like talking about pre and post COVID, because Omnichannel is just now the state of retail.
Right.
It was brick and mortar, then it was e-commerce, then it was multi-channel, and now it's omni-channel, right?
Right.
And I really think with the rapid rate with which the consumer has forced this change and this seamless way to engage with them, that it really is just the new norm. So there's the pre-COVID, what we thought norm was, and now there's what we call the post-COVID new norm.
Right.
I think omni-channel is just, it's almost like even calling it omni-channel it's like, this is just retail. This is just doing business today, and I think it brings together a whole set of challenges. It's hard, it's still hard. The customers demand a seamless integration and meeting them where they are. And that's hard. There's a lot of challenges that come with that, but there's a lot of value that comes with that. We know that the omni-channel customers have a higher lifetime value. We know that an omni strategy versus a single strategy, increases, has higher, penetration rate, things, higher retention rate, things like that. An omni-channel customer is a higher retention rate. So there's reasons why we need to do this, but it's hard. It's moving, to your point, it's moving fast, and we have to challenge ourselves to move at that same speed, and that's often difficult.
You're right. Well, it was said, during the Walmart shareholders meeting, and I know you followed that meeting and all the meeting itself, and then all the conversation that took place during and after the meeting, and you heard Walmart talk intensively, in detail, and a lot about Omnichannel.
Yeah.
And it's a major focus at Walmart today, as other retailers.
I think one of our challenges, Andy, whether it's the retailer or the supplier or solution provider or whatever the case may be, is one of the challenges is figuring out how to actually turn the internal conversations into external delivery of capabilities.
Right.
And all the reasons why those are. And, there's some traditional, things, some traditional barriers that need to be, silos that need to be broken down in that.
As you look at Omnichannel from your chair, okay, and then as someone that provides analytics, and you look at then the suppliers. You have the suppliers, you have the role of Shiloh, you have the customer, you have the retailer, all of this. So as you're speaking today to a lot of Walmart SAM suppliers, okay, they're listening to you today. They're getting on this. They've figured it out. They're working with their retailers, whoever they are. Give them some advice, or just talk to them. And if I was today, if I was a Walmart SAM supplier or any retail supplier, I would lean in and listen about what you're going to talk about. So just share some of your thoughts.
Yeah, I think the bridging the gap opportunities are really specifically around the analytics and the data side, because I think that's one of the biggest gaps that we face today.
Okay.
Is there is a tremendous amount of new data that's created when shoppers are engaging on multiple platforms, whether it's in-app, in-store, online, whatever that is. Those create data points. Those create data points that now need to be brought together. And I think the biggest gap that we have today, whether you are the retailer, and I think everybody's in some stage of doing this, but it's connecting the offline and the online. It's really taking all of those data points around how the shopper's journey is happening, how they are engaging, how they're being engaged, and closing that loop into the actual purchase. Where is that happening? How is that happening? And some of those things. And that online and offline data linking is not just specific to the purchase intent. This is where the challenges are created around inventory management, around supply logistics, all of those things to truly create a seamless experience. The customer wants it to feel seamless to them.
Correct.
They want the same experience, whether they're in that app, whether they're in the store, whether they're this.
Right.
And so they want that same experience from the marketing elements, from where the product is available to them, those kind of things. And so the only way really to create that experience is to really connect this online and this offline. Right. So I'll give you an example, traditional example. And so we have to break down some of these. It sounds simple, right? Just bring these two data pieces together. Right. Sounds simple enough. The problem is it's really unlearning a lot of traditional behaviors. And a very simple one that I'll speak to is around, traditional marketing decisions, advertising decisions, marketing spends, things like that. So you would have on one side, a sales group who traditionally was responsible for understanding everything that went on inside that box.
Right.
You had the marketing, group who was traditionally responsible for understanding everything around how a shopper wants to engage with the product. Okay, those two things now need to come together. Decisions need to be made together. Money, just how we're going to spend those. There's a lot of traditional elements for how to spend marketing spends, things like percent of sales, percent of GMV, those kind of traditional decisions. If we're really kind of looking at it from the, bringing it together decision, it's really closing that loop and understanding, that journey, and then how it actually links back and can be measured through actual in-store results. Right. So that's, again, it's a simple example, from just what we're traditionally used to from a marketing standpoint, but that same type of thing applies whether it's supply chain management or, inventory planning, those kind of things.
And when you're visiting with a client at Shiloh, do you get into those specificities around that and sort of help guide them through that?
We do, and that goes back to a little what I started with around our data services. Right. Is really encouraging them to look at the business at a deeper level than just the through the register, point of sale measurements. Right. And again, I mean, a lot of things have changed even recently. The retailers are really starting to change the game. Walmart with providing Walmart Illuminate to suppliers. Sam's recently launching the Sam's Club map. Those are instances where retailers, and they're not the only ones. I mean, there's a lot of other retailers who are doing this similar kind of thing, but where they are providing information into the shopper decision tree, the shopper's journey, as well as then the metrics around purchase and Sam's member insights, things like that. And again, it really comes down to encouraging meeting the customer where they are, right, and then creating a seamless interaction through those processes, right, that can again be tied to the in-store and then be measured, right, which is the gap. Yeah, I mean, traditional marketing, really would have a lot of great understanding around how many clicks they received or how many engagements, how many user engagements they received. There was traditionally a gap in understanding how that actually tied to increased inventory,
Right.
or the right inventory in the right places,
Right.
or sales through the register kind of thing. And then there was also this disconnect in sales. Was like, I really don't know what they're doing. I'm trying to manage this day to day. And so we really have seen a change, specifically around a lot of our clients and a lot of the new clients that we're speaking with, around wanting that holistic picture. And Shiloh is uniquely positioned to help with that, because years ago we built our infrastructure to really be able to handle data sources outside of the traditional retailer POS. Whether it's panel, whether it's syndicated, whether it's first party marketing type data, whether it's data coming from some of the e-commerce platforms that are really understanding that those touch points in the shopper journey, along with whether the various retailer POS pieces. So we are having a lot of those conversations, Andy.
Good.
A lot different than we were having 18 months, 2 years ago.
Right.
It's way more commonplace now.
Wow, that's exciting. And think about how hard now that you're working for the customer. I mean, you really are working for that customer, is what you're doing. And when you work for the retailer, the support of the retailers, but that customer ultimately is the focus, isn't it?
Yeah.
And now you mentioned lemonade for a moment. You're right. There's a lot of changes there, isn't there? You want to talk about that? Any additional you already said wonderful things about it, but is anything else we need to talk about there?
Yeah, I mean, I think there is a lot of change. There's a lot of change from just how you get data from Walmart. I mean, it's traditionally been an extraction type method, which and if you don't have a solution like a Shiloh, involves a lot of manual interaction. And we all know that, manual has opportunity for, error and time consumption and resource availability and things like that. So it's how you get it. The fact that Walmart has made this available to their suppliers via, an API type situation, really has changed the game on just data management. I think the other piece that has really, changed is what's available. Walmart is exposing, some things to suppliers, again, with the intention that they can go leverage it and drive, ROI and growth on their business. But one of the biggest things, and again, on the subject matter today, I don't know if I would say it's one of the biggest. I think it's one of the things that really supports the conversation we're having today. And as we've talked to a lot of our clients who were early adopters on the Walmart Illuminate platform, has really been around the full exposure to where shoppers are buying. So it's the full omni-channel view.
Right.
That has not been available, from Walmart. There was a lot of guessing. There was a lot of, again, a lot of people who work in data had a lot of very strategic ways to try to guess at those numbers or back into those numbers. But all of that often led to also trying to guess, do I have the right inventory in some of the right places? And am I prepared? And some of those kind of things. But when Walmart, with the Walmart Illuminate platform, in addition to some of the shopper information that they're providing, they are providing a full view of the omni-channel purchasing, behavior.
Right.
And that's really, a lot of our clients have leveraged that quickly out of the gate to really have a better understanding of their business and made some changes to things that we just spoke about. So they've made changes to, marketing plans. They've made changes to, product launches, deployments. They've made changes to managing, inventory, how they're having conversations internally, how they're planning with the retailer.
Right.
And so, I think that's really, really been game changing thus far for some of the early adopters. And I think it's going to just continue to be so as more people, come onto the platform and begin to leverage the data and things like that.
Wow. Okay, this is exciting. Now, as we think about Omnichannel for a moment, and we think about the customer, we think about the retailer, and I think you're really, really good, Cheryl, a bit pulling it back and looking futuristic for a moment, okay? Because you have a great vision. You run fast. You get out there ahead of a lot of things. So as you think about the future of retail, future omni-channel, just what have you dreamt about?
Yeah.
Oh, that okay.
Dream,
Yeah, not marriage. So
No, I really think the challenge for all of us, whether you are the retailer, whether you're marketing, third party, a technology solution, whatever it is, I really think the challenge is continuing to think about it from the shopper perspective. Start there versus starting at the product. And again, that's new school thinking.
it is.
We start at the product. Then how do we market it?
Yeah.
Where do we put it? That's not how the shopper. That's not how the 80% of the shoppers say they want a seamless experience. Well, a seamless experience doesn't start if you start at the product. It starts with talking about and thinking about the shopper and how they are engaging, where they want to engage. So I think if we do that, I think that is our future. And I think that's a change. I think some people are further along. Some people, are more nimble in that, and some people are figuring it out. But I think that is the future. I also think that you're going to see an increase in the ways consumer engage. I think right now there's the things we all know, like there's the website, there's in store, there's served up media, there's still print. All of those kind of things. I think you're going to continue to see an expansion of things like voice commerce, where, literally people are telling their phone, telling their personal assistants, the Google Assist, you're already seeing it.
Right.
In a lot of areas, non-retail. You're seeing it in retail, but you're also seeing it a lot in non-areas of retail with some of the Google Assists and some of these AI-generated assists and things. So I think voice commerce is going to continue to be something that's going to grow. But with things like voice commerce and with things like increased AI and machine learning serving up marketing or ads or different ways to shop, things like, will packaging begin to talk to us? All of those things are real life. They're in some generation right now.
Right.
And so I think those things are going to continue to expand. So I think as we figure out how to manage the 3 channels we have, or the 3 to 4, or whatever those things may be, there's going to be more. There's going to be 6. There's going to be 7. And so this Omni is going to continue to get broader. And so, that what that means is as that happens, marketers are going to have to continue to think more broadly. Retailers are going to have to continue to figure out how do they have inventory in the right places, for those type of engagements. Technology solutions are going to have to figure out how they continue to evolve the same way the shopper is evolving. So I say that, if I think about like what I think about in the future, as the consumer has evolved to demand more personalization, less one size fits all. I want what I want served up in the way I want it, where I want it. We've seen the same requests from our clients.
Right.
Things like, an out-of-the-box technology solution that makes your business fit to it doesn't work anymore. We need to be able to personalize and flex and meet the needs of the business where the business is that's supporting that consumer. So with that, some of the things that we're looking at and are things like, voice, being able to talk to voice from the analytics side of things, things like that. Now, I say all that to say, I think the future also holds a lot of conversation, none of which you and I are probably prepared to even understand today around privacy and, things like that. And I know that there's a lot of conversation going on about that with a lot of the buzz that's come along. AI's been around for 10 plus years. We've been using it. It's Face ID on your phone, GPS, talk to text, a lot of those things. Those are all AI and machine learning, right?
Right.
But the latest buzz around, the chat GPTs of the world and, some of the, a lot of those kind of things has really brought to the forefront some of the conversation around the data privacies and some of those things. So I think there's going to be a lot of that conversation going on as well.
Right. Well, it's exciting, no question. Well, it's phenomenal to be in this space at this time. As you again, as we think about our audience today, and as you think about your company, what additional information would you share with viewers today, because you've done really a great job of talking about where the changes that's taking place in Omnichannel, and from an analytics standpoint, how Shiloh is really changing, and in order to meet those demands and meet those future demands. So what else would you share today for our listeners?
Yeah, it is interesting when you think about looking back over the last 30 years. I mean, we're a far cry from mail order and phone-in orders, right? I mean, because that was Omni-Channel back in the day.
Oh, my goodness, it was.
I mean, subscription service, mail order catalog. I mean, and again, those things are still in the Omni-Channel.
Yeah.
But so I think if I were to kind of, there's probably two main areas that I think about as it relates to, and one is going back and is really bring the data together, understand. I mean, a lot of suppliers have and retailers alike have access to tremendous amounts of data. And with things like, some of the retail advertising services that some of the retailers are putting in place, and giving access to their members, their shoppers, information, loyalty information. I mean, you're getting first party information about their shopper, your customer, your consumer. But if that resides over here, and your POS data resides over here, and your market data resides over here, and your demand plan resides over here, you're only as good as those things individually. Right. And so, I think if I were, to really say, where should you be thinking, where should you be looking to really be able to fully embrace, move quickly, and leverage where this is and where it's continuing to go, that is to bring those things together.
Right.
Bring those things together. Now, that's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard if you try to do it on your own. So, leveraging a resource such as a Shiloh that does that, has done that for years.
Right.
Did it before it became the cool thing to do.
Right.
I mean, honestly, we were doing that before it was a need to do that, because we had customers who wanted to do some of those things. So we've, do that. That would be my first piece of advice. Do that.
Right.
Leverage the resources where available to really understand where your shoppers are engaging with the retailers that you're trying to grow your business with.
Right.
And then be flexible, because what you do for mass is not the same thing that you would want to do for a club channel customer or a drug channel customer. So, embrace some flexibility there. But so get the data all together. Leverage a resource that can help you with that quickly. And then leverage that resource to also be able to provide some of those insights to you, so that you aren't having to manually, because there's a lot of ability for automation there. Right. Next, Andy, I would say is we need to think about attribution at a much deeper level than we've traditionally in this space thought about attribution. Traditionally in this space, we've thought about attribution as the common item metrics, basically the way a retailer might set up an item, regardless of who that retailer is. There's some basic attributes around an item, right?
Right.
If you really want to understand and be able to make decisions, you really need to be able to understand every piece of that customer's journey. Where did they engage with you first? And that becomes a data point. That becomes an attributed data point. Where did they, did they also come on and did they, search, 10 different sites for information? Data points, right? So thinking about attribution and being able to take all of those data points, all of those interactions now become a data point. So integrating, your e-commerce platform, that information with your POS, platform, with your your shopper behavior information. So really thinking about attribution differently. And again, I don't want this to feel like, Shiloh, a Shiloh sales pitch, if you will. But again, Shiloh's uniquely positioned. Right. We have a master data management platform, if you will, built directly into our solution, because for years our clients have wanted to look at their business a tad differently than maybe the retailer did. But it was, again, pretty typical. It was the retailer likes to look at the business this way. I like to look at it in EQ cases, or tons or pounds, something that's a simple example. This is my encouragement is think much broader than that. Right. This is more than just for reporting purposes. Right. This is to really understand the customer's journey, because I think, Andy, what is in the future. Well, it's happening now, and it's going to continue to become so much more around how marketers are really going to be looking at spending the money, getting their ROI out of the money, is this retargeting.
Right.
The ability in real time analytics. So you can't do these type of things if you aren't bringing these data points together, and things like retargeting. So if I can do real-time analytics on an ad campaign, real-time analytics, I know how customers are engaging. I know I can tie it directly into through the store, through the register sales, my inventory management, those kind of things. Then I have the ability to retarget. If it's not working in Florida, but it's working here. If it's not working on, this in the app, but I'm getting a lot of traction here.
Right.
I can retarget, and we're seeing a lot of that. That type of change is becoming normal, but it's hard if you and you can't really do it in real time if you're trying to bring together and cobble together multiple types of different data sources.
Wow, that's exciting, Cheryl. It's exciting. It's hard. It's going to be fun. It's going to be challenging. Cheryl, wow, you have really laid out such great information for our listeners and viewers today. Now, we're going to make sure that our viewers and listeners will know how to get in touch with you and your company. We'll make sure we have that on our podcast, and in fact, and then there'll be an article we'll write about this, so your information will be in there too. Any closing comments?
As I think about, there's a lot of clutter. There's a lot of noise. Whether you are a shopper, a consumer, a retailer, a supplier trying to figure out what do I pay attention to and what do I not. So, I really think, technology has a really important role with where we're at with Omnichannel and where Omnichannel is going. But technology for the sake of technology is just more noise and more clutter. So I really think as get the foundation right. Retail is still simple. Manufacturers make products, retailers sell products, and consumers want to buy products. So get the foundation right. Make sure you have the right foundation. And if you need to leverage technology to do that, but get that foundation of understanding how the three of those things come together, then layer on, all of the, a lot of the things that are out there to help you get there faster, get there quicker, understand more, those kind of things. But I really do think, getting that foundation right, because it's, even though they're doing it from a lot of different places and on the go and all of that, it's still, and again, I think that was one of the things we also learned in our Walmart days. Retail is simple.
It is.
We make it complex, and there's days that you couldn't convince me that it's simple. But I think the reason it's simple and the reason we thought it was simple in our days at Walmart was that foundation.
Good.
We know what you're doing, know who you're selling it to, be able to tie it back to what you're selling,
right?
And then add on from there.
Perfect. Wow, what a great summary. What a great conversation, Cheryl. My guest, Cheryl Yarborough. Cheryl, I can't thank you enough for being here today. You've done such a wonderful job talking about all this about Omnichannel and what a great resource Shiloh is. And so I highly recommend to our listeners and to our audience today to reach out to you, reach out to your company, and then help them navigate all of this future. Now, Cheryl, I have to ask you this. I'm going to just have to put you on the spot. Now, you got to come back, okay? All right? Now, you got to come back because there's so much more that there is to talk about in Omnichannel. And you mentioned that. We've gave a great overview today. You did. You gave a great overview today. But be watching for our future podcasts on dbbnwa.com, and you can check us out there. Also, this podcast with all of our podcasts is going to be on your favorite place you watch your podcast. So listen to your podcasts. That's from Apple to Google to you name it, Spotify. So we're there.
Meet the people where they are.
That's right. We're there. We're going to be there. But Cheryl, wonderful conversation. I can't thank you enough. great. Have a great trip coming up,
you.
and enjoy your mission trip. Again, thank you for being here.
Thank you again for the opportunity to
Okay.
talk a little bit about what we do and to talk to the listeners.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.